Hello and welcome to this episode of Creating with Howcraft. My name is Denise Yezbak Moore with howcraftcollection.com. Today I'm going to be showing you how to create my wrap wire rings. The tools and supplies you will need to create these rings are wire cutters, chain nose pliers, nylon jaw pliers. You don't necessarily need these pliers, but they are helpful. A ring mandrel, a bench block, a chasing hammer. We will be using these little Howcraft Collection freshwater pearls. These are rose tone. For this ring, I used a larger freshwater pearl. It's a rondell shape. We will need 7 inches of 18 gauge wire. This one's gold tone. I also created them in silver. And you will also need 8 inches of 28 gauge wire. A complete list of the jewelry making supplies and beads along with printable PDF instructions can be found on howcraftcollection.com. Search wrap wire rings. We are going to start off by cutting a 7-inch length of 18 gauge wire. We are going to take our nylon jaw pliers, and we're just going to kind of go through, and you're going to straighten out your wire. It doesn't have to be perfect. So just straighten out your wire. Now we're grabbing our bench block and our chasing hammer, and we're going to hammer out these ends. So that it's nice and flat. We're going to flip it around. And now we're going to hammer the other side. You have to use a little bit more force. Now we're going to come back in and we're going to hammer the whole length. It's going to flatten the wire out a little bit. This also hardens the wire. So we just flattened out this side. So now we're going to flip the wire to the other side. We're going to grab our chasing hammer. And we're going to hammer this side down. It's flattening and hardening the wire. Careful of your fingers. Let's get that to lay flat. So we have hammered both sides. Now we're going to come back in and we're going to add a little bit of texture by using the round part of our hammer. And we're just going to do this to one side. So you can see it just adds a tiny little bit of texture. We're going to move the wire down. Move it down some more. little bit more. And we're going all the way to the end. So we're going to pull it up. And you can see that there's a little bit of texture on there. Now I like to come back in with my nylon jaw pliers. And we're going to straighten it out. This one's curving a little bit. So I'm just kind of going through and moving it. It doesn't have to be perfect. So just kind of gently straighten out your wire. Today we're making a size 7 ring. So we're going to grab our ring mandrel and we're going to find the center. I'm placing it on a size 6 because the ring will come up one size bigger. So we're going to find the center and I'm holding it down and I'm going to wrap the wire around nice and tight, being careful not to cross the wires. And then we're going to do the same thing to the other side. And we are just wrapping our wire around. And now we're going to take it off. And I'm going to move this one out a little bit. And then these are sticking up just a tad. So we can put it back on and move it all the way down and grab our little hammer and gently hammer those ends down. So here is our ring blank. You can actually leave it like this. It's quite pretty like this. And it's pretty strong because we hardened the wire. Now we need an 8-inch length of 28 gauge wire. We're going to grab our ring. I like to use a little tail. I just leave it out there and we are going to wrap 1, 2, 3, 4 on that one. And then we're going to grab our chain nose pliers and we are just going to squish the coils together so they look nice and even. I like to come in now and just kind of make a tiny little bend in the wire so that the pearl sits properly. Now we're going to grab one of our freshwater pearls and we're going to string that down. Place it between there. We're going to move those coils up to the end. And we're going to come back in. And we are going to wrap 1, 2, 3, and let's do 4. And then we're going to squish our coils together. And what I like to do is kind of tap that little wire down so it sits flush. Now we need to come back in, and there we made a slight bend in the wire. We're going to pick up our next freshwater pearl. We're going to string it down, place it in between the wires, and we're coming up, back up through. And we are going to wrap. 1 was the first one. Two. Three. And I'm going to do 4 coils on this ring. You can do 3. You can do as many coils as you like. It's a design preference. So then we're going to come back in. We're going to squish those coils down, and we're just going to tap that wire down. And we're going to squish those coils again. And then let's move this little guy out a little bit. And now we're back to making that tiny little bend in the wire. So let's grab our last freshwater pearl, putting it right there. And we are going to wrap. Make sure that wire's right. We are going to wrap 1, 2, 3, 4, and we're going to bend that wire down. And we're going to come back in. We're going to squish those wires together. We're tapping that one down a little bit. And then we're going to flip it, trim off that excess wire, and we're going to gently tap that wire down so there are no sharp edges. And squish it over a little bit. We're going to come back in, squish those wires, come over to the other side. We're just going to bring that wire up to right about there. We're going to trim off that little wire, and we're coming back in, and we're just tapping that wire down so there are no sharp edges. And there you have it, how to make my wrap wire rings. This one, I just came in and wrapped it here and then added a couple here. You can kind of be artistic about it the way you add your little beads. Just keep wrapping them around until you get to the other side. If you are watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe at Howcraft USA. Follow us on Instagram at Howcraft Collection Beads. Be sure to visit howcraftcollection.com for more inspirational DIY projects and for all your jewelry making needs. New beads are added weekly, and each week howcraftcollection.com features an amazing new sale. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you next time.